Today, I really want to talk to those who just got their wheelchair dropped off. And they're sitting there with their wheelchair, whether it's manual or power. We'll get to the manual, but we're going to review first the power wheelchair because it is a machine. and, and, you're sitting there hoping you do everything right and that, you don't damage it. So we're going to go over some tips so that you have it here, you can review it and make sure that, you have things in line. So this is the issue that happens to all of us. The salesperson comes, he puts the power wheelchair or the manual wheelchair together, he shows you a few tricks and how to turn it off, how to turn it on, how to turn around, and has you sit in the wheelchair, has you spin around and drive around a little bit. And then he asks you if you have any questions. And you say, no, you don't know what to ask. And so the salesperson says, well, I got to get to my next person. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoy your wheelchair. And here's my card. Any issues, just give us a call. He walks out the door. So now in my case, I had already been in a wheelchair before, in a manual wheelchair. This was my first power wheelchair. And of course, I'm in an institution, so I really was concerned about speed and all that kind of stuff. So I started practicing, going around corners and what would be the most prudent thing to do and all that kind of stuff. So, and then we had a long discussion as to where the wheelchair should be placed, either outside of my room or inside of my room or, we had all those discussions. So anyway, I just want to go through some tips that you can follow once the salesman walks out. What you can do to feel a little bit more secure with this new wheelchair. Now, we're going to do power wheelchair first. Now, once he walks out or she walks out, I would suggest you turn down the speed to turtle. Somehow, a turtle and a hare on the speed area. Some don't. So you just want to turn it down. And then it won't seem so scary when you're driving it around. Until you get used to it, then you can turn up the speed a little bit. But I would turn it way down so that you feel like you're in control. Then, before your first crash, because you're going to bump into things. That's just, it's going to happen. So before you do that, I would say I'm going to show you a little bit how to approach something that's long, like a couch, a table, your bed. So I'm going to do it here for my bed. Hold on. So you want to approach it by the side. You want to turn this way, not heading head on. So you want to approach it, sideways. So I hope that makes sense. So a table, a couch, your bed, approach it from the side so that, you don't just bump into it because your footrest is going to bump into the table or to the couch or to other things. And you're going to feel bad about that, or you scraped. So, I already had the question, Lisa, how do I do this? It's like you approach it from the side. So anything that's long. And, if you're going to be transferring, you want to approach it from the side as well. I had a whole bunch of spiders that were born. They're flying around. So you see me do this. That's because I'm battling with the tiny spiders. So anyhow, approach things from the side, and that'll be much better than you won't crash into something. for your table where you're going to be eating, remove a chair. Just remove one chair, and that's going to be your spot where you eat. So, you know, look at tables or where you can, your office or your kitchen where you eat or the dining room. Just take one chair out, and that'll be your spot where you drive up. So that's good. That'll help you a lot. Instead of trying to drag the chair and all that kind of stuff, or have somebody move the chair away. So anytime you approach anything from the sides, long counters, tables, bed, then approach it from the side. Also, if you feel very insecure about going backwards and you're not sure, where you're going to end up, you want to make sure that you don't bump into anything. Let me see if I can find it. Here it is. I use this mainly when I am outside, and I have to cross streets and stuff like that. So it's a mirror. It's a small hand mirror, so it's this size. And I use it when I'm out, taking the bus or wherever, and I have to cross streets and stuff like that. So I use a mirror to make sure to look and see what's behind me, and to make sure there's no surprises. Or if I have to back up in a grocery store, I'll use it. So I'll leave some links of different hand mirrors. These are called hand mirrors, I guess. And they're used for bikes and motorcycles and things like that. But it also helps us. So they're just very small. And it might give you a little bit more security in backing up. So I just have it here in my pocket. I have a little pouch here, and I have pens and pads and whatever I need there. So you might want to get yourself a small pouch. I wouldn't say a big one, because then it gets really clunky and messy. Anyway, a small mirror might be of help for you, so you can feel a little bit more secure that you're not going to go off a cliff. And it's hard to see around your chair. It really is. And I am super careful here, especially when I'm in the dining room, because there's people around me. And God forbid I just bump into one of the members, because they're 30 years older than I am. And so, they have, they're very fragile, and I would not want to knock anybody over. So it's those kind of things. If you're visiting a museum, you're visiting a grocery store, you are at a clinic and you have to back up, the mirror's always there in your pouch so that, you have it, or have it on your hand, because it has a little strap so you can have it on your hand, and then, just raise it and make sure nobody's back there. A couple of times in the clinic, I've had people dart in front of me or dart behind me, and, because they want to get there first. And the receptionist will say, Lisa, don't move. Don't move. Don't go yet. So, here at my house, they all know, don't stand behind the chair. So they all know that. They keep a distance. So that helps a lot. So if you're in your house, you live with a family, there's children, all that kind of stuff, it's good to tell them, don't stand like really close to the chair, and especially don't stand behind the chair, because I might have to back up. So if they get that, if you have to repeat that a couple of times and then they finally get it, people will be safer. So, if you have family, or if you're in an institution like I am. So those are my tips. So they're, so before your first crash, turn the speed down until you feel more comfortable. When approaching a counter, couch, table, approach it from the side, not to the front, but to the side. And then where you will eat, where you'll be eating the most in your home, take a chair away so that you can always just drive up not worried about it. Um, and get yourself a small mirror. So I think those pointers will help you, and I have other pointers in other videos. So I will post some of those videos so you can watch those as well, because I have other pointers that are also good. So I'm hoping this helps for when the salesman walks out the door and doesn't give you any further training and you're there with your new wheelchair. Now let's talk about manual wheelchairs, which is a little bit easier. Manual wheelchairs are precisely that. They're manual, and you will either, somebody will be pushing you around, or you will be pushing yourself around. If it's in the case that you are being, you will push yourself around, then same thing, take a chair away, approach things from the side. So those things are the same. You don't have to worry about the speed because you'll be getting used to, pushing yourself. Now, if you discover that there's a lot of shoulder issues, take a break, put some ice on, because it's heavy. You're pushing yourself, your body. So, and plus the weight of the wheelchair. So you're going to have to go slow. If this is the first time you've had a manual wheelchair, then yeah, just go slow and, take some breaks. Ice in the evening if your shoulders are hurting. And, gradually your muscles, your tendons will get used to it. If you start to have a lot of problems with your shoulders and your tendons, then you want to talk to your therapist, because you don't want to damage the shoulders, and you might have to switch over to a power wheelchair. Sometimes the manual wheelchairs and the power wheelchairs cost about the same. So you're going to have to be in contact with your therapist and see how it goes. So some people get used to the manual wheelchair and they're fine. So, but after a few years, 5 years, 10 years, it might be a little bit more difficult. So my shoulders already were not in good shape. So that's why it was recommended that I use a power wheelchair. And I fought it a little bit because what I was familiar with was with the manual wheelchairs. So, all right. So, removing a chair, going slow, try to be speedo through the house, and approach things through the side, on the side. And for you as well, if you wanted to have a mirror, so you can look back, have it on your wrist, especially when you're in a crowded place, that might be helpful, even for manual wheelchair users. So you might be in an outside market, you might be at a museum, you want to back up, so you just raise your hand and the mirror will be on your wrist there. Then you can back up with a little bit more security. If people are pushing you in the manual wheelchair, same thing. They need to be careful when they're backing up. If you're on a hill or something, not to let you go. Not to let you go. And to avoid potholes and rough terrain, because that's also hard on the body, the vibration. So same thing for power wheelchairs. Avoid potholes and cracks and all that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping this video is helpful. You are going to bump into things. Manual wheelchairs and power wheelchairs. You're going to bump into things. So we'll talk about that with a little bit more detail in another video. But I think that to be aware that if you bump into things, it's normal. When we get tired or whatever, we didn't see it, we're going to bump into things. So hopefully not in a museum where things are very fragile. But Okay, folks, I think that is good a good start for the first day with your wheelchair, with the salesman out the door, and you're just kind of looking around like, what am I supposed to do here? so, so I am hopeful that this is helpful for you. And if you have any other questions, you're stuck with something, just let me know. There will be other videos here to give some ideas on what to do with XYZ obstacles and other things that will be crucial for you to feel comfortable with a wheelchair in the home. All right, take care, and I will see you in the next video.